Hi everyone, welcome to Create a Space for Love. Transform your home environment and mindset to attract the romantic love you desire. I'm your host, Katie Tai, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Don Miguel Ruiz Jr.
Hi,
Welcome.
Katie.
Thank you
How
so
are
much.
you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello. Thanks for
Hey.
being there. Hello.
Hey. Um, Miguel is a Toltec master of transformation, and he is a direct descendant of the Toltecs of the Eagle Knight lineage and is the son of Don Miguel Ruiz, author of New York Times bestseller The Four Agreements. He is the author of the newly released book The Five Levels of Attachment, Toltec Wisdom for a Modern World. Along with his family, he teaches workshops and offers transformational journeys around the world. Check out www.miguelruizjr.com.
Cool.
Great. Hey.
Hey.
So let's just jump right in and get started with the questions.
hmm
Awesome. So how did your grandmother and father influence your spiritual training?
Well, they're my teachers. That's one thing about growing up in a family that practices this is that you first start because you want to, you love them, and as you get older, you rebel against it. So for me, the love I have for my grandmother allowed me to understand her and engage her in that tradition, and as well as my father. I grew up with the duality or of living in a family that's spiritual, and my grandmother being a faith healer, my father being a medical doctor, neurosurgeon, my mother also being a dentist. So you had science and spirituality on the other hand, and then also being an academic and going to school and doing international baccalaureate and things like that. Then you have the academics and spirituality as well. So it's always dualities of life. And when I was growing up, my grandmother's teachings seemed like something that belonged in the history books. Especially when she would teach about our family lineage.
Mhm.
But what was great watching her is that she was, you can say, she's the very first one to open up the tradition outside the family and taught so many people outside her students. And she was also a faith healer, so she had a lot of patients that she saw that she was helping them heal from their wounds and the issues that they had. And at the same time, she opened up a temple. And in that temple, she gave sermons and lectures. And she really was this thing. So you can say that I don't follow my father's footsteps. I'm continuing the fire that my grandmother started. So for us, this is the allowing and keeping alive something my grandmother envisioned, and we get the privilege to continue it in our own way. So the way they taught us, the way they both influenced us is through their love and the way they loved us as family. And it's an honor to have felt that love. So yay.
Yeah, and now you get to pass that love on to so many other people.
Yeah, I
That's
get to share it
beautiful.
with I get to share it with my wife and my kids and the people who are interested in hearing what I have to say or something.
Awesome. So you say the mind's main job is to dream. What do you mean by that?
Well, in the Toltec tradition, the main function of the mind is to dream. And to us, dreaming is to perceive and to project. Right now, I am perceiving because I'm awake, and it's called a waking dream. And right now, I'm seeing you, but what I'm seeing is the light that's reflecting off the room you're in, bouncing off your skin, off your hair, off your clothes, and going straight into this little camera. And that little camera is producing the light, reproducing that light into the screen that I'm seeing and going to my retina, just like this lamp, this microphone. I'm perceiving right now with my senses, with my eyes, with my ears, with all the nerves, and I'm perceiving emotionally. And at the same time, I am projecting. I am projecting through my voice with air that I put into my diaphragm, slowly letting out through the trachea, my muscles in my mouth to make sounds in English so that you can understand me. Si empiezo a hablar en español, no me entenderías. So I'll speak in English because I'm interested in you understanding me. And I am projecting what I'm perceiving. So I am perceiving and I'm projecting. And right now, I'm dreaming, but I'm awake. So that's what I mean. So, and in this material frame, this dream that I'm perceiving right now has a material frame that quantum physics says that I'm not really touching this desk, that is electrons repelling electrons, but for whatever reason I can't put my hands through it because
Mhm.
of this material frame. And because of this material frame, time is linear. So there's from the moment I am born to the moment I die, there's a present moment that moves with me from the moment I am born. So what is it that I'm perceiving when I'm asleep then? Well, if I see you in my dreams when I'm asleep, I'm not seeing light bouncing off your face and your hair and all the stuff that surrounds you in the room. And nor am I really seeing light bouncing off this light or this microphone. I'm seeing a projection. And because it's not really there, that's light not bouncing off matter, which is what we know as the tonal. This desk, if I see it in my dream when I'm asleep, I can put my hands through it because there's no frame. There's no electrons repelling electrons. And because of that, time is nonlinear. If one moment I could be 8 years old and I blink my eyes and I'm 80 and I blink my eyes again and I'm 40. And I can be in Sacramento and I can be in San Diego and I can be in Florida like that. So what is it that
That'd
I'm
be great.
perceiving? Yeah. What is it that I'm perceiving when I'm asleep? I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm the constant point of perception when I'm awake and when I'm asleep. And my reason is this compass that allows me to tell the difference between the two. And my reason is the thing that allows me to make a choice and decisions and give scrutiny to the things I perceive. So you can say that I'm constantly dreaming, whether I'm awake or asleep, and I'm aware of that. And because I'm aware of that, I can move my arms, I can move my legs in the direction that life is showing me, and I choose in which direction to go and how I want to construct it or co-create it. So it's a beautiful experience to say that I'm dreaming means that there's a relationship between me and me. Like my father would say, if I'm the voice who's talking inside my mind, who's listening? Well, I am. Well, if I'm the one who's listening, who's talking? I am. So that's the individual dream, the relationship between me and me. And it's basically because I have a mind, I have a brain that allows me to interact. So, and I only control that dream to the tips of my fingers. I don't control it beyond that. So that allows me to be a co-creator in the dream of all of us. So to me, that's what the function of the mind is, to dream. And we're constantly dreaming our civilization, our culture, our the dream of us, the relationship that me and my wife have, me and my kids have, and these things that we're continuously evolving. So
I love
I
that.
get I get to participate in that. So that's nice.
Yeah, this kind of like fluid and perception versus just accepted truth, right? Because
Yeah.
it is perception. I could be perceiving something totally different from you, even if we were standing right next to each other,
hmm
right? And that's the beauty of it is that you get to create it.
Yeah, I'm a
So,
single point of perception, and I only control this perception.
mhm,
And what I see is either I choose to see the truth of life,
mhm,
or I choose to see the distortion of
mhm,
my own illusions. And there's a question someone asked me once, like when did we lose sight of our authentic self? And the answer is quite simple. The I lost sight of it the moment I preferred the lie or the illusion over the truth. But the
mhm.
best way to let go of that illusion is to accept the truth when it's presented before us.
Absolutely. And actually, that leads us perfectly. And my next question for you is, in your point of view, how can attachments keep us from our authentic selves?
Sure. Well, an attachment, we're both scratching our ear at the same time. Um, it's a nice- um, an attachment, the definition of it, the way I use it, is to make something that's not a part of you by investing of yourself emotionally, intellectually, or energetically to something, is to make this thing a part of us. And an attachment is natural. It's something that we do. We can call it engaging. I engage a moment, and when the moment is over, I'm able to detach or disengage. Attach, detach, or like a flower that engages a moment, and when the moment is over, I open up again. A flower that pulsates. What makes an attachment unhealthy is that when the moment is over, we're not able to detach. That all of a sudden this thing that allows us to engage each other, to engage a moment, to engage life, when the moment comes to let go, we don't want to let go. And this is when the attachment becomes unhealthy. It's a moment where we're trying to stop life from changing. We're trying to stop life from moving because when we attach ourselves to something that's outside of us, then the worst thing that can happen is for that thing to change. And that's the thing about life. Everything is constantly changing. Life in nature evolves. We go through our seasons. Right now, we're supposed to be in winter. It feels like spring here in California.
Mhm.
Um, it goes and turns into summer, it turns back into fall, and it turns into winter. We go through the cycles of life. If I'm attached to my son and my daughter being the 2-year-old, the 3-year-old, the little baby toddler, and all of a sudden they're 10 years old and 8 years old, and I'm trying desperately to hold on to that baby. They're living life and they're evolving. And that's the thing about life is that when we attach ourselves to something and we define ourselves by that one thing, the worst thing that can happen if that thing changes, what's going to happen to me? What's going to
Mhm.
happen to my sense of self? What's going to happen to the way I've learned to love myself? We're really afraid of the unknown, so we want to hold on to it. But here's the thing about life. Life is always evolving. Life is always giving us new experiences. And are we willing to engage it? And are we really, really willing to see it and see the evolution of ourselves? I can continue seeing myself like my 18-year-old version, like Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite,
Yep.
and be stuck in high school in 1984. But then I've missed out on life.
Yeah. I love that movie, by the way.
Me too.
Yeah, it's classic. I love what you said about our fear of uncertainty, and I think part of that too is just maybe the fear that the next moment won't be as good as what we just had,
Hmm.
right? And this uncertainty of, oh, am I going to have a moment like this in the future? Is this as good as it gets, right? And that kind of lack mentality of like, is this as good as it gets? But I think the belief that we will have even better and better moments in our lives is what keeps us from that fear of uncertainty, or it comes up less often.
Yeah, it's realizing this. Like, I can't go back in the past and change a yes or no or no to a yes
Yeah,
because life no longer is there. It's just exists in my memory,
yeah,
and it probably didn't happen the way I think it did happen.
right.
And the future doesn't exist yet. It's the consequences of the choices I make at this very moment, which means the only place where the truth in life exists is in this present moment. That here's the thing: today's the youngest I will ever be.
Mm-hmm.
I have my whole life ahead of me. How do I want it to live? How do I want to enjoy it? Yeah, I can't go back in the past. It doesn't exist. But I have my whole life ahead of me. How do I want to live it? Do I want to continue believing all those beliefs that says I'm not worthy of love, I'm not worthy of my own forgiveness?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I see myself as this infinite possibility that I can go in any direction in life? In the
Mm-hmm.
same way you hold a newborn baby. When you hold a newborn baby, you see that infinite possibility that that child is. This baby can be a doctor, a lawyer, an author, an activist, an artist, anything. Well, the only difference between the baby that my parents held and they saw me like that, of all those potentials I could be, is that I know how to use this body and I know how to use this mind at this age of 40. And I feel very young. I feel wonderful because I am young.
Mm-hmm.
I have if I could live one more day, I could live one more week. That's still a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And if I live to be as old as my great great grandfather, Don Ezequiel Macias, who lived to be 116 years of age,
Wow.
I've got 7 years plus of life. Regardless,
Mm-hmm.
I'm alive right now.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to do?
Mm. Yeah. Living in that present moment, and there's so many possibilities.
Hmm.
Infinite
Yeah,
possibilities for your
infinite.
life. I
All I
love
have to
that.
do is say yes to one direction and be honest with myself and say yes to that direction. And if there's a direction I don't want to go, I'm going to be honest with myself and say no. My yes and my no are very powerful things. It's the thing that I use to make a choice, to use the energy that animates this body, that animates this mind to create and go in any direction in life. Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. Actually, just directly relating to that next question is what is the benefit of detaching from our beliefs? And what is the difference between a belief and an attachment?
Well, a belief, okay, imagine this. The same energy I use to move my arms, to move my legs, it's the same energy I use to create a thought. At the root of every belief I have in my belief system, there is a yes that gives it power. In the same way that I move my arms, that I move my legs, that I go for a run and run 13 miles or 26 miles, I create thoughts. Now, a thought, a belief only exists for as long as I say yes to it.
Mm.
As soon as I change my mind and turn it into a no, that belief ceases to exist because I don't give it energy for it to exist. Which means a belief is an idea that only has power while I agree with it.
Mm.
An attachment is making that belief a part of me, even after that belief no longer reflects life, which means it no longer reflects the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Which means when I attach myself to a belief, which is really hard because, for example, I could be attached to this sage. I'm not really attached to this object. I'm attaching myself to my belief of what this object is and the meaning, the traditions, and all that kind of thing. It's like this is a symbol. Now, here's the thing about symbols. They're all empty symbols whose definition is completely subject to agreement. It could mean so many things. This herb right here, wrapped around, um, in Spanish it's called hilo, and thread
Thread.
is in English.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To many people means something sacred. Some people just incense. To some
Mm-hmm.
people it's a gift. The meaning could be dramatically different. The attachment is not to the object, is to the meaning. But the meaning is only there for as long as I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because of that, what makes, like I was saying before, what makes an attachment unhealthy is to detach. When the moment's over, I detach.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, what makes an attachment unhealthy is that when the moment arrives to let go, I don't let go. I don't detach.
Mm-hmm.
So, a belief is a natural, healthy thing because it's just a way I perceive life, the way I perceive something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to me being able to detach enough to give it scrutiny. Does it still reflect life? Does it still reflect the truth? Does it still have the same meaning it did to me before we began the conversation?
Mm-hmm.
If it does, then it's a belief that I'm going to continue to say yes to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it isn't, then it's something that I can let go of. Now, that's more important, not necessarily with this thing, it's more important with those beliefs that give power to my conditional love, to give power to my domestication, that give power to those beliefs that says, I am not worthy enough because I look this way, I have this, I have that. Those are the beliefs that it's important to let go of because they're just illusions.
Mm-hmm.
Illusions that bring a sense of rejection in my own life and a rejection of the being that matters most, which is me in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
I live with me from the moment I'm conceived until the moment of my last breath.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm already rejecting myself, then I spend a whole lifetime full of conditional love, not accepting who I am, what I am, living continuously through someone else's judgment of me,
Right.
and never allowing myself to love me.
Mm. Yeah, I love what you said. Basically, um, attachments are beliefs that we've just given a ton of power to,
Yeah.
right? We've given them like maybe way too much power. And, the other thing is, and I forget who said this, but we can select our thoughts, right? We can select our beliefs too.
Mm-hmm.
You choose to believe something. It's not necessarily, the blanket truth,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we choose to believe and we choose to give power, and
Yeah.
those things aren't necessarily the truth at the end of the day. It goes back to the perception conversation that we had,
Yeah.
right? So attachment is power that we've given to our beliefs. Yeah.
And the thing is that we think we are our beliefs just as much as we think we are the mind. But here's
Right.
the thing,
And we act like
just
it. Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. Just as much as I am not this body,
Hmm.
because when I give my last breath, this body will remain, but I will be gone. I
Right.
won't be here.
Hmm.
It's like physics says, in order for an object to move, there needs to be a force that moves that object. So
Hmm.
I'm the force that animates this body. I'm the force that gives it life, which means just as much as I am not this body, I'm also not this mind. I am the force that gives life to my mind,
Hmm.
which means I am not my thoughts. A belief is not me, but I give it power with me, with my intent, with my essence, with my spirit, whatever soul, whatever our tradition that we grew up with.
Hmm.
That's who I am. And to see that I am this living being that can go in any direction, then I become aware of one important thing. I give power to my love.
Hmm.
And do I choose to only experience love through the conditions that I believe gives me?
Hmm.
Or do I simply experience love because I'm experiencing myself, because I am alive?
Hmm.
And I let go of any belief that gets in the way of that communion.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. And so, what are your thoughts um, on love and unconditional love? Right? Is there any other type of real, pure love, or is that it?
Love is love.
Hmm.
The opposite of love is not hate or anger. Hate and anger are just instruments that we use to implement the opposite of love, which is love. The opposite of love is love. Or you can simply put it, the opposite of unconditional love is conditional love. Conditional love is the end result of our domestication, a system of reward and punishment by which we model the behavior of an individual. If I live up to the expectation, then I'm worthy of the reward. And since I'm an emotional being, part of my perception is emotions, then that reward feels like acceptance, which feels like love. If I don't live up to the expectation, then I'm worthy of my own punishment, and that feels like rejection,
Mm.
the opposite of love. And we use as a form of punishment our judgments. For example, if the perfect version of myself is to be, well, let me switch that a bit. Hello, my name is Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. I don't take things personally. I don't make assumptions. I always do my best. I forgot the other agreement. Oh no. What is it? What is it? Oh, be impeccable with the word. Oh no. How can I call myself Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. if I don't know the four agreements? At that point, you hear this diatribe of self judgment because now I'm using the four agreements to create this image of pedestal. If I live up to the four agreements, then I'm worthy of love.
Right.
But if I'm domesticating myself with the four agreements, then if I don't live up to expectation, then I'm worthy of my own rejection, which means I punish myself. And the punishment I'm going to use is my own judgment. And here's the thing. Now I've corrupted the four agreements and used them as an instrument to domesticate me, which means I turn them into the four conditions of my personal freedom. The
Mm.
telltale sign that I've domesticated myself with the four agreements is judging myself for taking it personally, not for making an assumptions, not being impeccable with the word. And in my case, how can I call myself Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. if I don't live the four agreements? So at that point, you can see the distortion, how that the mind says in order to be worthy of love, you have to be perfect.
Mhm.
And the definition of perfection is something that is completely free of any flaw. But guess what? We define what a flaw is with our agreement. Just like there's words whose definition is subject to agreement, or has an emotional definition as well, a flaw only exists via agreement, which means there's no such thing as a flaw. We define a flaw with
Mm.
our mutual agreements, which means everything is perfect.
Mm.
So, what is conditional and unconditional love? Conditional love is only seeing what I want to see and accepting only that which I deem worthy.
Mm.
But unconditional love is the willingness to see myself exactly as I am,
Mm.
which allows me to see you exactly as you are, not this projected image of who Katie is or who this projected image of Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. is. I see myself as this living being that can be anything in life. I let go of the filter that says I only have to be what my judge, what my conditional love tells me to be. And I see myself as this living being. Unconditional love or conditional love is still love. The only difference is that conditional love uses love as a motivator to become something we are not.
Mm.
Unconditional love is the expression of everything we are. And what I am, well, I am this living being at that's living in this very moment. Like I said before, I don't live in the past. I can't change a yes into a no or no to a yes. I don't live in the future. I live in this present moment. I am the result of every choice I've ever made in my life. I am the result of every experience. And who you see talking to you right now is the only truth that exists.
Mm.
And that's me.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
get to enjoy me.
Yeah.
And that allows me to enjoy talking to you.
Yeah.
I get to talk to you without me being myself. I'm not pretending to be something I am not. And
Yeah.
that's the difference between conditional and unconditional love. I don't have to pretend to be something I am not.
Yeah. Total acceptance of oneself. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. And the acceptance is I'm alive. At this
Yes.
very moment, I am alive.
Yeah. How exciting is that? Oh my God.
Yeah. Look at everything I get to do.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So many possibilities. Let's see. So we're running around 26. So I'll ask one more question and then we can talk about a free gift. Can you briefly explain the 5 levels of attachment?
Sure. As fast as I can. We're going to use that image of that flower once again.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the question to my grandma that asked me, do you control knowledge or does knowledge control you? When knowledge controls you, is that your belief system is controlling what you say yes or no to, is controlling your will.
Mm-hmm.
So me controlling knowledge is being aware that I give life to my belief, which means I use it as an instrument that guides and informs my choice. But I'm the one making the choice. So at level one, the authentic self, imagine a flower that's completely open
Mm-hmm.
because I'm aware that I'm alive, and the word authentic self is just a word to describe this energy that is me, this living being that is me, and I can go in any direction in life. I'm aware that I'm alive.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer to my grandmother's question is I am a living being regardless of what belief I have. I am, and I'm aware that I am alive. Level two, preference. Because I can go in any direction, the direction I go to is my preferred direction, which means I engage a moment. The flower engages a moment. And when the moment is over, I'm able to detach, attach, detach, attach, detach. So the answer to my grandmother's question is I am aware of that I am the authentic self, and I'm going to use knowledge as a guide and an instrument to inform my choices. At level three, identity, imagine a flower that closes ever so briefly with a moment, but when the moment's over, it doesn't open up. It stays like that. It stays in this segmented or fragmented or still place. So you can say that the answer to my grandmother's question is knowledge and I are one.
Mm-hmm.
So I attach myself with the identity. I'm instead of being the experience of me, I am now the symbol of me with a definition, and that definition allows me to understand who I am. That's what an identity is. It's just a symbol. At level four, internalization. Imagine a flower closes even more as I now begin to domesticate myself with that identity, and I begin to love myself conditionally, and which also leads me to love everyone around me conditionally as well.
Mm-hmm.
As I domesticate my beliefs, this is where the four agreements turns into the four conditions of my personal freedom, which leads us to level five, fanaticism, where the flower closes even more, and the four conditions rule. For example, at level four, the answer to my grandmother's question is knowledge gives me the rules by which I live my life, especially the rules by which I love myself. And at level five, it completely controls everything about me. I say yes when I want to say no, or I say no when I want to say yes, because my yes and my no's, my will is completely automatic. So the key is to have an aha moment, a moment of clarity, to become aware of how attached we are to these things, and we choose to begin to let go little by little.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all the work of what we do, and not just the Toltecs, but Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, the Bible, Krishna, Buddha, Siddhartha, the Quran, psychology, psychiatry, AA. Humanity has created so many beautiful traditions that allows us to let go of conditional love and embrace unconditional love. But we're so used to conditional love that we distort all these beautiful traditions.
We do. I love what you said about when we start to love ourselves conditionally, we start to love others the same way with condition. And it's so true. And what ends up happening is, other people around us and our surroundings in general end up being a mirror back to us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
the other way around. I mean, if we want to experience unconditional love from others, we really have to give it to ourselves,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
We can't give what we do not have.
We can't. Got to give from an overflowing cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
And I'm
yeah,
the source of what fills that cup.
yeah. And the source of what fills that cup has to be good. Got to be good. Love, much love. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for interviewing with me today. This was a blast.
Oh, thank you so much, Katie, for
Lots
the
of.
opportunity. I really am honored to be in your program.
Oh, thank
And
you.
thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Folks, Miguel has been kind enough to share with us a free gift today. So go to the link below. It's www.miguelruizjr.com and grab your free gift. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much, Katie. Have a
Thanks.
wonderful day and enjoy.